RDV, and today is Monday, April 14th? Yeah, the 14th, 2025, and I'm grateful to be alive. Yes, sir. For sure. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you for tuning in, checking out what we have to say. Um, yeah, thank you very much. So, today I was on the internet scrolling, as I do on a day-to-day, and I came across this statistic saying that 60% of people, 60% of people admit to lying at least once in a 10-minute conversation, right? At least once. Admit to lying at least once in a 10-minute conversation. That's 60% of people. And that includes romantic relationships. So there we go, right there, right? So if you're one of the people that have those trust issues in a relationship, I actually feel you, because like I just told you, that's a statistic. That's a real statistic by a psychologist named Robert Feldman, right? That did his research for this book. I think it's called "The Liar in Us," or "The Liar in You," or something like that. You can check it out by Robert Feldman, and that's the statistic that he came up with. 60% of people admit to lying at least once in a 10-minute conversation. And some of those lies include, also what followed behind that statistic was they don't even know they're doing it most of the time in those lies. We're not talking about blatant, I know I'm lying shit. We're talking about white lies, right? Lies just to keep people happy, lies to keep people, not to upset people, to people please a lot of times, things like that. And I think that's an interesting statistic because it actually, at least it kind of makes sense why so many people have trust issues in relationships. Specifically, what we're going to talk about is romantic relationships, right? Trust issues. Uh, I myself have had a lot of issues with that, trusting the person and the person trusting me, believe it or not. And I'll even speak on a real quick story on my own personal experience with my last relationship. I'm no longer with her now, but you guys heard me talk about it in the past with the same girl that I had the baby with, but then we lost it, you know. Same girl, right? Back and forth relationships. The one that made the video on about trying to maintain a friendship, which we're still doing right now. But what I want to talk about is why that relationship is no longer. And one of the main reasons was that because of trust issues. And I started out, I got to say right off the rip, first time ever, it's the first relationship I had ever been in that I've been accused so much with the lying, you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar. I never met anybody that had that much. Every relationship I've been in, there was always issues with me not being trusted a lot of the times, but I had my moments where I didn't trust them as well, but I had reasons. We'll get into that. But yeah, that last one I was in, honestly, I want to say within the first month, she hit me with, you're a liar. We're at our house, and my phone rang late at night. Not even that late, it's probably maybe 11 o'clock at night. The whole time, it's my dad texting me at night, asking me a question. But she saw that, and because I didn't let her see who the actual text was, right out the rip, she had made a decision that I was lying to her, and it was some bitch, right? Some bitch, right? And I knew right there that's a red flag, but I ignored it, because I told myself, this person is, she's healing, and maybe she's got some past issues with someone lying and cheating on her, which is true. But the real issue here was, why are you bringing that into a brand new relationship, right? It's a brand new relationship. What that guy did ain't got shit to do with me, right? But what I'm saying is that was one example how she hit me with it, but there's many more times later that she called me a liar off of really small stuff. But the biggest thing is I never gave her a reason to think that I was a liar. It was stuff that she had dealt with in the past. And that's what I see people do a lot in new relationships. They bring old stuff, specifically when it comes to trust, into the new relationship. And they don't even give that new person a chance to prove that they can be trusted or not. It should be like that whole innocent proven until proven guilty type thing. But really, just off the rip, they treat you like a liar and a guilty person already. That's one example of what happened with me. We'll get into more later. But you got a story about yours? I mean, it's happened to me several times in my life, but I really just wanted to really point out that I think like the psychology behind someone doing that is because it's really about pain involved with that. You know what I mean? I feel like a person would respond that way probably because of something in the past, and you know, the shit that's going on now probably reminds them of it now, and they just, because it made such an impact on them, they just out of fight or flight, they respond the same exact way, even though this present situation may not have anything to do with that.
Which it doesn't.
You know. So it's just like, just comes from probably past trauma, or you know, traumatic situations. You know, all kinds of things can be traumatic to people, but I think a lot of people in romantic situations can relate to having some sort of trauma in the sense of like heartbreak, or like embarrassment, or insecurities. You know, shit like that. And I think, you know, it just comes with it. You know, just comes with it. And I think that's a common reaction and reason why people do that. You know, that's the psychology of it.
It's definitely common. Like we just said, 60% of people admit to lying. So let's talk about the lying, right, specifically.
Yeah.
Why? What's the reasons for it, right? Have you told a white lie in a relationship?
I'm sure I have. Yeah,
Why?
I definitely have.
What do you think the reason is you did it?
For my reason is to keep a little distance between, because I don't yet trust the person enough to be that completely vulnerable with them.
Right.
So in order to keep it healthy, keep a little distance. So it's more not necessarily a direct lie, but a lie by omission.
Like a white lie, like I said.
Yeah, that's why it's a white lie.
So, like, give us what's an example that you think you've probably done before?
Like, for example, for women that I may not necessarily know that well, I might just now be getting to know them, dating for a little bit. I might not necessarily let them know that I have a kid, because that's something for me that's close to me. I hold things like that very dear to me, and I'm protective about things like that. And my daughter's one of them. So I'm not gonna just share that information or that part of my life with someone that I don't even know nothing about, shit like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd be damned. So I'm like, you know, if it comes up in convo and I feel like it's relevant, maybe, you know.
Right.
That's one thing.
That's interesting though, because I'm sure a lot of people who have kids go through that same thing. Like, should I tell this person at all?
Mm-hmm.
And when should I tell them if I do tell them? You know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people who's lied, never even said they had a kid at all. It was your by omission, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it just depends on the situation.
Yeah.
You know, there's been women that I've dealt with, and after getting to know them a little better, I'm glad I didn't tell them I have a daughter, because I'm seeing things about them. I'm like, this probably isn't that kind of vibe. You know, or can she even connect with this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or I just see, I've actually, in real shit, I've seen traits about a woman that I was like, I don't even want you to even know my kid, because I don't think you're that healthy to be around kids. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I probably just won't even go there with it, you know?
It's a good point. So yeah, that's one reason I guess I see why people would lie in a relationship. I think I'm gonna go right back to my old relationship, right? For a second. I think one of the reasons why she'd lie was definitely out of fear of being judged. She may even said that in an argument before, in a conversation we've had. But I still could wrap my head around it, because the whole thing with me is, even if that person before me judged you, I ain't them. I am not them. I have not shown you ways of judging you, so I still couldn't understand why are you still putting that on me, right? And what I'm gonna tell you what it does, how it ruined for me personally, how it ruined a great relationship starting out. Starting out, I went to it all guards down. All my guards were down to the point where maybe I was even naive, because I was willing to be vulnerable, right? I told myself, if I'm gonna do this new thing, I gotta be totally vulnerable, and I gotta be willing to take whatever comes, you know? What's the worst that can happen to you? She ain't gonna kill you, so you gotta be vulnerable, right? So I came into it that way, assuming she did too, even though I think we even had that conversation. I think she even said that she was coming to it that way too. But that could have been another lie, right? Either she was lying consciously or unconsciously lied, I'm not really sure yet. And I may never find that out. But the thing is, I went into it like that. Guard down, open. So I went into it like that. But then I learned those small little red flags I was seeing, those signs of her still having those trust issues in those past relationships because someone cheated on her and da-da-da-da-da, for all the reasons they did what they did. More and more, every single time that I was accused of cheating, accused of lying to her, none of it was true. I felt like all I was doing more and more was just trying to prove myself, right? Prove my love, prove who I am. And that can get exhausting really fast. I promise you it can. It gets exhausting really fast. And that's what happened. And not that I was holding on to any of it. I really was. I was really conscious to make sure that I let go of all. That's one thing you want to do, because it's not going to be good if you keep holding on to it. So I did let a lot of it go, but I didn't forget. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I tell people all the time, I'm one of the people that I forgive, but I don't forget, and I'm very open about that. And I did never forget about those moments. And every single time it would come up, I felt like I was losing the respect and maybe even the romantic part of love. I was still loved it, but I wasn't in love every single time. I was losing more and more and more every little bit, every time with that. You know, I got frustrated, and I lost a lot of it. I felt like, I don't know, I feel like I'm good enough to where I don't have to keep proving myself to you. I'm good enough where I shouldn't have to love myself enough where I shouldn't have to feel like I should keep trying to prove myself to you every time. Prove myself to you and your family and your friends. I shouldn't have to do that. And you shouldn't either if you're in a relationship like that now. But that's another conversation. But I'm saying, as that kept going on, less and less, what happened was eventually, this conversation I had with my father, he said one day, usually the person who says that you're cheating so much is usually the one doing the cheating. The one who, especially if they have no reason to be saying that, they have no proof if you're a liar and a cheater, but who consistently claims that you're lying, that's usually the one doing the lying. The one who says you're cheating, that's usually the one doing the cheating, out of guilt or whatever. But projection is what it is. And I remembered that, and I said, damn, maybe she's the one doing it. Because I just can't understand why she's claiming I'm the one doing this shit, So maybe she's the one doing it, she feels guilty. Maybe it'll make her feel better if I'm doing it too. That way she won't feel guilty, because I've seen that before too. I'm cheating, you cheating too, so we both guilty, so I don't feel so bad, that kind of shit. But that's what happened. So less and less I started doing the extra things. And eventually what I'm trying to say is it led to the demise of our relationship, to a great start. It was a great start. Strong, loving, trusting, at least on my part. And then it went downhill from there. And I kind of saw the signs. I read the signs. I saw it going downhill every single time those moments happened. So these are one of the things that I can really ruin a great thing for you in a relationship. And it happens in any relationship. And it doesn't necessarily mean romantic, but right now I'm specifically talking about that. But just be aware that can happen in any kind of relationship. Honesty is key. Is what I'm trying to get at. And there's a lot of red flags to pay attention to when it comes to this honesty stuff. Because like we just said, people tell lies for all different kind of reasons. And even worse, what really fucks me up, and I really do believe it, that a lot of times they don't even know they're doing it. I've seen it. I've asked questions. So why'd you even tell that lie? And sometimes they might look at me, and I'm not just talking about her, the ex, but I'm talking about a lot of exes. They might look at me and be like, I just don't know why I did it. I really don't know why I did it. And that's really crazy when they can't even answer that question. Because then that means it's just that normal for them, Well, obviously, based off that statistic, that it is more normal than we think. People lie for all kind of different reasons, and a lot of those times don't even know why they're doing it or know that they're doing it. Because like I said, we got lying by omission as well. A lot of times, I think people don't even realize that's a lie. Leaving something out, knowing that you're leaving something out, that's lying by omission, That's information they could have used, but you purposely left it out for whatever the reason was, but that's considered lying. And I've met people who don't even think that's lying. And that's crazy to me. It's a scary thing. I understand why we have so many trust issues in relationships, I get it. So many people are lying and don't even know they're lying or why they're lying. That is scary to me,
I think some people do that out of, they probably just don't know how to connect or they're afraid to connect.
Could be one of the reasons for sure.
That's why I've seen people do that, just tell a flat out lie, just because, but usually it's because they just don't want to be able to connect with the person on some shit like that, I guess. I've seen, at the end of the day, the lying part is what makes the situation toxic right away.
Yeah.
Because you're starting off on a bad note. Now, if you lied to this person, especially with something that was about something that was detrimental to either of you, oh man, it's done already. Because now they're always going to be looking at you like
always questioning you.
What's really the truth now?
Right. And you'll be, and I've done it. You'll be even questioning the small shit.
Yeah.
You'll be even the little shit. You'll be like, is that even true? Yeah. Oh, I just went down the street, down to the grocery store. I was there for about 10 minutes. Now you got to question that. As crazy as that sounds, now you got to question that.
Which is completely be a waste of anybody's energy.
Exactly. It's
But
a sick
people
thing.
do it. It's a sick game that we in. Well, I've been involved in relationships like that. Trust me. That's why I say it that way, because I'm like, it's such a waste of everybody's energy. Like we could be doing so much more with our life, not to mention the relationship you're actually in.
Right.
But you're busy fucking playing little stupid games like that.
Right.
Because you're
Let me
both
check.
insecure.
Let me check your phone.
Yeah, that's like some insecure shit, and it's like, it's just dumb for everybody. Like,
A lot of wasted energy, and that could be going into building something.
Yeah.
It's going into this
Let
back
me
and
catch him. Let me catch
Yeah,
him. Let me,
investigating, phone numbers, investigating, stalking each other, all that weird ass shit.
Stupid.
It's just crazy. It's a lot of wasted energy instead of making something greater. It's wasted energy is what it is. But it's I understand it now. Like, I kind of get why it goes down, at least, because reading that statistic that this psychologist did, it makes sense. 60%. That's a lot of fucking people. For so many wild ass reasons.
And you gotta remember too, like, people are just people too at the end of the day. And sometimes people get into relationships for who knows what reason. There's like a fucking whole bag of reasons why a human might get into a relationship, especially romantic one. Humans are complex, and so are the reasons why they do it. I've come across a lot of reasons. Through observation and experience, why people get in relationships. Some people just don't want to be alone. Some people get in relationships in order to distract themselves from things.
Right.
Romantic ones we're talking. Some people really just want to get married, but they don't know how to say that, but they just hope that they're with somebody for a long time and it'll feel the same. Some women get with relationships, and men get with women or men, and because they want to have a kid, but they just don't know how to say that. They just, I know a lot of chicks that have patterns of getting with men, and they're always in this relationship where they're like ready to have a kid, get married, and sometimes it's just having a kid. And I'm like, well, you didn't necessarily, it's like, do you just want a relationship or do you just want a baby? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, I say that because I've been with a lot of chicks that always, for some reason, the pregnancy thing always comes up. Like, they always either say they're pregnant or they want to get pregnant. I mean, that happened to me a lot, especially when I was younger. Like, it's always like that was always a big focus on the getting pregnant part. I'm like, I thought we were just dating. Why are we talking about all this shit? You know what I mean? Like, so which one is it? You know what I'm saying? That was something that happened to me a lot when I was dating. I don't date anybody right now, but, and sometimes I still think about that, like, I've literally heard chicks that just sometimes just want to get in a relationship just because they can get pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Not even thinking about staying with the guy or none of that. They just want to get pregnant. And they're like, why you gotta get in a relationship first? Why you gotta get in a relationship with them first? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just wonder why.
Well, I can't see possibly why they would want to get in a relationship to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't see is why not just say that.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right.
Because the topic at hand is about trust issues, right? Not being able to trust your ass.
Yeah.
So if that's what you want, I'm not even mad at that. But why not just say that? Give
But
him
it
a chance.
causes confusion.
Right, because you're not giving him a chance to decide if that's what he wants or doesn't want.
Exactly.
Right? Or vice versa, or that's what she wants.
Right.
Because men do it too. I've seen it.
Absolutely.
It's fucking disgusting.
Dudes do that shit too, yeah.
It's fucking gross. I hate it. But, if that's what you want, it should, or men who lie to get pussy. What are you doing? Just tell them, this is all I'm really up for. And this is what I really want right now.
Gets you a long way. You'd be surprised how
Man,
far
it gets me a long way, trust me. Why not just say that? And in any kind of way. Or you can, because I've been in a situation where I've been like, you know what? A girl, all she wanted to do was fuck that night. The girl I just met or something, or a girl I just started talking to. And I was at a point in my life where I wanted more than just fucking, And I had to tell the girl, hey, guess what? Really, I like you, and she wanted to fuck that night. And I told her, I'm not fucking. It was probably like the second night we ever hung out. I told her, I'm not fucking. But, and to be honest with you, I'm actually looking for a little more than that right now in my life. I told her that right off the rip, so that we didn't waste anybody's time, and didn't waste her, and didn't waste mine. And she told me she appreciated it, because she said, honestly, she had just got out of fucking divorce, and all she wanted was sex. And I understood that. So we, parted ways. We hung out the rest of the night, had a good time, and parted ways. That's what I'm saying. That way, no one's left hurt. We don't waste each other's time.
Also, I think people do it because I think people lie sometimes, or just dishonest, or just whatever, because they don't know how to communicate in a mature way. They lack the communication skills.
That's a big thing.
They're still like, there's people out here that are like 40 years old,
communicating like they're 4 years old.
But mentally and emotionally, they're like 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 18-year-olds. Like I dated a chick that age, like 44, and she had like the maturity, like emotional maturity of like a 15-year-old girl. It was almost like the trauma that she went through around that age stunted her growth emotionally.
I bet.
Like she had what's the word? Arrested development. Like she grew up into a grown woman, like physically and all that. Yeah, she was 40-something years old, but emotionally she was that of like a 15-year-old. Like that's how like she would play these childish little mental games, like so unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like just do stupid shit to try to get a rise out of me. And I'm like, so you would have been satisfied if I was jealous. You know what I mean? Or if you were satisfied that I've been angry about certain things. Like what type of shit is that? Like what's the point in that? Like I said, so out of this dysfunction that you're trying to create, you're getting some type of satisfaction out of it. Oh, okay. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's shit like that. You gotta remember, just because a motherfucker is a certain age, I mean, that's where they are mentally. You know, chronologically, yeah.
Short level doesn't mean that they're just kind
They
of
may not have grown into that, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta consider that. You need to watch for that, too. Pay attention to that type of shit. Because I've seen grown men and women at all types of different ages, but definitely adults, play these little fucking mental games. And it's like a drama that they're addicted to, you know? That's why people might lie, because they might want to create that drama. They get off on it.
Right.
They're like, I know it's wrong, but it's like that's how they operate.
Just lying for attention.
Yeah, for
I just
attention.
wanted some attention.
As if, you know, you're a fucking 50-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 30-year-old, and you're still doing these childish things for attention. It happens.
But you could have just said honest, and I can accept the fact that you just said, I just want some attention. I just need some attention.
Just say that.
Just say that.
Right.
You know?
But it happens, man. It's kind of sad when you see it. I'm talking about adults now. When you see an adult operate like that, it's fucking weird. You know?
Yeah.
Like, okay, could have said that, but all right. You know, it happens, man.
But anyway, these are some of the things that have been running through my mind right now as a single man, you know. So, you know, as far as these like I said, the trust issues, it's a major thing out here, and I'd like to know what you think about it. You know, leave your comments in the comments section. Let me know, how do you feel about it? How do you deal with it? You know, are you dealing with it? How do you get around it? You know, how's it going in your dating life? I'd like to know. I'm nosy because I gotta live vicariously through you, because my dating life sucks. So I need to know through you. But yeah, how are you tackling this whole trust thing? And how do you plan on tackling it in your new relationship, right? If you think there's anybody that could use this video, maybe get some advice from it, get some answers, some solutions, please share this video. Please also like this video, and most of all, subscribe to our channel. Hit the subscribe button. That way we can stay connected with you and keep these conversations going. Because like I said, we're not just talking, we're having a conversation with you, right? We know you're alike, we share a lot of the same things. So let's connect, okay?
I love you, and I love myself. I'm able to love you because I love myself. So love yourself for yourself.
Cool.